How do you know that this dachshund is really here or there? Did you just think about it rationally and know that it must be there? Or did you experience the dog, or at least the computer screen representation of the dog, through your sensations? I think we know the answer. Now, David Hume is an empiricist. So like Locke, he thinks that anything meaningful that we call knowledge must be rooted in our sensations. Reason only provides us with abstract relationships between concepts. But without the substance provided by experience, the dachshund, reason is nothing. However, as an empiricist, Hume sees a problem. He recognizes what Descartes recognized 100 years before him and what Plato recognized a couple thousand years before him. Our sense data is flawed. It has imperfections. This is a concept we've explored since the beginning of the course. Now, Hume takes that skepticism and runs with it. And he suggests that our sense data is more than just a little unreliable now and then. It is based on completely unwarranted foundations. First, he questions causation, cause and effect. Now, if I drop this piece of cardboard, you might predict that it will fall to the ground. There you go. Why did that happen? Now, the physicists might say it was because of gravity. Was that an explanation based on observation? No, it isn't, because you didn't actually observe the cause. All you observed was the object falling. Go ahead and play back the tape if you want. And tell me, can you literally see the cause? Obviously you can't, because a cause is not an observable thing. And if knowledge is supposed to be based on observations alone, then there is no reason to assume that any particular event causes any other event. Yes, we may have observed the same thing happening over and over again, e.g. a falling object, but we can't conclude that this means that one event caused the other event. Perhaps there is another reason why the object falls. Perhaps everything that occurs in our universe is a giant coincidence. Now, I know this may seem unlikely or counterintuitive, but how do you even know that it is unlikely? The point is that we just don't know, because we have never directly observed any cause and effect relationship through our senses. Hume thinks that we believe in cause and effect because of habit. We are accustomed to believing that events cause other events because maybe we've been taught this. That this is knowledge, and we need it to function in the world. After all, if we didn't have a habitual belief in cause, we would have difficulty functioning. But that doesn't mean that we know one thing actually causes another. Now, Hume's problem of induction is a similar challenge. Induction, if you remember, is the process of argument that draws a general conclusion from a series of examples. So I've seen thousands of black crows, and therefore I assume that all crows must be black. But Hume says that there is no reason to think this. It is a leap in logic to go from all the examples I've observed to all of the examples. This error is due to a belief we have in something called the principle of uniformity of nature. We assume that the natural world has order and structure, that there are laws of nature which apply to all things everywhere. And we think that nature is uniform or all the same, and that it will continue to be the same. But that is just an assumption. The laws of physics could change tomorrow. We have no reason to believe that they won't, just because it has never happened in our experience before. Hume also argues that morality is just an expression of emotion, a view called emotivism, that we'll be looking at a little bit more in the next unit. So we'll leave that one for now. Finally, Hume denies Descartes' cogito ergo sum. He thinks that we don't have enough reason to believe in the existence of the self. Why do we think there must be a singular entity called the self that is doing the thinking in the I think therefore I am equation? Just like causes, the self is never observed, never experienced directly. It is all in our imagination. The only thing we ever experience directly is thinking and feeling. So for Hume, the self is at best a bundle of sensations or a stream of consciousness that doesn't necessarily have any substance in and of itself. Hume's skepticism has major implications. If we can't derive causes or make inductive arguments, then this means that all of science, common sense, and really most thinking in general goes out the window. We don't get knowledge from any of these activities. And if we don't believe in morality or the existence of the self, then also any possibility of ethics and of self-knowledge is severely limited. So ultimately, Hume leaves us with this extreme skepticism. He throws up his hands and says, we might as well play backgammon, which was the Candy Crush of the day. He thinks further philosophizing is pointless. Hume's metaphilosophical challenge is a difficult one, but philosophy did live on after him. Next up, we will look at how Kant and the philosophers of science come up with compelling responses to Hume's skepticism.